Tonight, pressure on Economic and Organized Crimes Office to reinstate Eastern Regional Director suspended for suggesting that government should prosecute its own corrupt officials as a first step to fighting corruption. NDC minority in Parliament wants immediate action, while the CPP is demanding the resignation of the Yoko boss.
He should be reinstated. Why he said there's nothing bad against the government.
He is incompetent, and where he sits, he doesn't qualify. He's not fit for that office. And for that matter, we are calling on the president to fire him with immediate effect.
But first, breaking news from Tamale, where the police command has come under attack today by people seeking to forcibly free some arrested suspects.
They became violent and tried to forcibly take the suspect from the police station. We mobilized our men, had 4 of those suspects arrested.
This is Top Story with Evans Benson.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond. Your success, our passion, Gasem, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and nationwide. We start tonight from Tamale, the northern regional capital, where the police commander has come under attack today by people seeking to forcibly free some arrested suspects. Let's go live now to the Tamale Regional Police Headquarters. Let's speak to DSP Yusuf Tanko, who speaks for the Regional Police Command. Thank you very much, Mr. Tanko, for your time here on Top Story. So what happened today?
Yeah, good afternoon to you, or good evening to you, and good evening to your listeners as well. Yeah, this afternoon, we were there when a group of persons, numbering about 30, came to the police station. They are mostly this huge construction vehicle, vehicle operators. They came to the police station because one of their own had been arrested. We had a complaint last Saturday to the effect that there was a land litigation between 2 persons. So somebody picked this heavy-duty machine, went to the land, destroyed quantities of cement and other building materials. And this morning, the suspect was arrested to assist in investigations. And the people I'm talking about came insisting that the person should be, or the suspect should be released. But we maintained that we needed to carry on with the investigations to a point before we determine whether or not we could release him on bail. But the persons, that's the suspects, tried to forcibly take the suspect from us. And we mobilized our people, came, and we had 4 of them arrested, and were able to push them away from the police station.
These assailants who attempted to attack so this is a police headquarters in Tamale, correct?
Not precisely the police headquarters, but the district, which is not far away from the building of headquarters.
Of the headquarters. And then when these assailants came, were they armed?
No, they were not armed. They were only using their strength to possibly take the suspects away from the police.
And understand you had to fire warning shots to disperse the crowd?
Yeah, our men resorted to the use of warning shots to be able to disperse them. But meanwhile, as I stated earlier, 4 persons out of the lot were arrested.
The rest, I understand, bolted. Is there any attempt to capture them?
Yeah, we are trying to identify them and get them arrested. You know, we have arrested 4, as I've indicated, so we need to question them on the persons who came with them so that we'll be able to trace those as well. But before we get these people arrested, we are already trying to put these persons who have been arrested before court. We are charging them for conspiracy to commit crime, unlawful entry, obstruction, and causing damage. Those are the offenses that we have so far, and we'll be parading them before court tomorrow, God willing.
I mean, the impunity of it. They had come to the station forcibly, and this is a police station, I understand from what you're describing, not too far away from the headquarters, and still had the guts to attempt to forcibly break into the cell and remove the suspect.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. But, we always fortify our police stations and ensure that we have enough men around to be able to quell such disturbances. So as soon as our men sensed danger, they called their colleagues, came around, and they were able to push them away and had some of the suspects arrested.
What the police
even pursued the rest further, but they managed to escape.
Was there any hint that this may happen today? Did you have any foreknowledge of this? Intelligence that suggests that the police station may be under attack?
No, because this is an ordinary case where property had been damaged, and we arrested the suspect to assist us in investigations. He had even mentioned the names of those who contracted him to cause the damage. So we were trying to get those arrested. So we did not envisage that any group will come to try to, because he does not belong to, the suspect arrested initially doesn't belong to any known group. But as it were, always we ensure that the charge office is very much secured. And so that is why we're able to quickly mobilize and quell the situation.
Now that this has happened, and there's a possibility that some escaped, they may return. Is there a plan to fortify this police station, or you're moving the suspects to a heavily protected cell?
Yeah, that is the most reliable cell we have in the metropolis. So we will ensure that our men on duty at the charge office are very vigilant to ensure that we position more men there to quell any disturbance that might come afterwards.
Final question to you. I mean, this is not the first time we've heard something like this. Either they attempt, in some cases, they actually attack the police with guns and other implements. The police definitely should be aware of this. Is there a general, protocol across the region and elsewhere just to forestall such incidents of community people amassing, getting weapons and attacking police stations? We've seen police stations successfully attacked and, inmates freed.
Yeah, the regional command has already issued instructions to divisional commanders, district commanders, unit commanders, including station officers, to ensure that their police stations are well secured, their arms are well secured against any person who will try to tamper with same. And officers have been made to go around to ensure that the directives have been complied with. So that is the arrangement so far, and the regional command is doing everything possible to ensure that personnel, the health and limbs of personnel are safeguarded, and also police ammunition and weapons are also safeguarded. So these are measures that the regional command is trying to use to ensure that we achieve this very objective.
I'm grateful that you joined us, DSP Yusuf Tanko, that speaks for the Northern Regional Police Command. If you're just joining us, news we're just getting this afternoon, a group of individuals attacked the Tamale Police Command. There is a cell close by, not far away from the police command itself, and they attempted to forcibly free some suspects. As we heard, the gunshots, warning shots had to be fired to disperse the crowd. 4 of them have been arrested. The rest fled. The police are currently in search of the rest. And as we've heard there, they believe this particular station is the most fortified police station that they have. They'll keep the men there, but let's ensure that any return attacks are foiled. Let's bring in Adams Bonai. He's a security with the Security Warehouse Limited. He's a security analyst. Has been following this story today. Mr. Bonai, thank you for your time here on Top Story. Surprised?
Well, no, I'm not surprised. Good evening to your cherished listeners. I'm not surprised, but what I can say is that increasingly it looks like we have a lot of people in this country who have lost that fear for guns and have lost that fear for the police. And so, friends of theirs or one member of the gang is arrested, and the next thing you hear is they take the laws into their own hands and attempt, to free the suspects who have been lawfully detained. And so for me, it's a worrying situation. But I must be quick to congratulate the Tamale, regional command for not shooting into the miscreants who came there. Probably if they had shot into them, it would have been a different story. We need to educate the populace. People must know that you can't just take the laws into your own hands and attack, a police station and expecting that they would watch you attack the police station. So I'm not surprised. This will be my initial comment, even.
So not surprised, but it appears this is happening quite frequently recently. We've seen many attacks, not only in the northern region, but other parts of the country, sometimes very successful, where police stations have been attacked. In some cases, police officers have been shot and killed in the process. What's happening?
Well, what's happening is the impunity we see amongst groups who belong to political parties. And once these groups believe that they are above the law, they are laws, they are, laws of the streets, and they cannot be touched, even when they take the laws into their own hands, then you have individuals or, friends and family of people who feel that a friend of mine or brother of mine has been arrested, and so I can also take the laws into their own hands. And so we are losing that fear because the law, probably we have one set of laws that applies when we are dealing with the domestic terrorism, where we refer to it as vigilantism. Largely, we've had just few prosecutions. And so for me, until such a time that you have, the law applying to all of us, it doesn't matter once you commit a crime, it doesn't matter if you're NDC, MPP, or PPP, or CPP, you are punished severely. We'll continue to have this situation every now and then, but then we are going into, the era where we are going to see this spate of attacks, probably every other week or every other day, which I think that is something that we must speak against. And we would have to educate the people to know that you can't do that, and when you do it, you'll be punished. I have an advice to the CJ. When these miscrimes are brought to the courts, the judges must probably, some of them should be educated to ensure that the law would apply. The law that says that when you steal a fowl, you go in for 10 years. When you unlawfully attack a police station or a government property, if it's 20 years, the maximum sentence should apply. Doesn't matter if you belong to a political party. But anyways, what I want to say is let's wait tomorrow and see if you won't have a political party saying that those who have been arrested are polling station agents or they are, political party executives. And once that happens, it kills whatever that should have happened to this miscreant who attacked the police station. So those are my comments, Evans.
Adams Bonai is a security, is a chief executive with the Security Warehouse Limited and also a security analyst. And thank you very much for speaking to us on the story. But also tonight, there's pressure on the Economic and Organized Crimes Office to reinstate the Eastern Regional Director suspended for suggesting that government should prosecute its own corrupt officials as a first step to fighting corruption. The NDC minority in Parliament tonight wants immediate action. In fact, the Convention People's Party have just issued a statement in which they are demanding the immediate resignation of the Iyoko boss or his sacking by the president. And it follows comments made by the Eastern Regional Director of Iyoko in the region at a symposium. Listen to what he said. And this is the director speaking to journalists on the back of a symposium in the region.
Before we can fight corruption effectively in Ghana, the ruling government should be ready first and foremost to prosecute their own. When the slightest incidence of corruption is raised against the ruling government, then they can also have the guts to prosecute the opposition. There should be the political will by the ruling government to fight it. They should be ready to resource the corruption fighting agencies.
So that's Fred Jenny, and he is the Eastern Regional Director of Iyoko. Now, those comments infuriated the boss of Iyoko here at the headquarters and has since suspended him In fact, there's a statement that came out suspending him. My colleague Elton Brobe has a copy of that. What does this statement say?
So, this came in last night, and it says that the attention of the headquarters of IOCO has been drawn to a publication in the media with a caption, "Prosecute your corrupt officials first, IOCO to government." And IOCO as an institution disassociates itself from the said publication. The statement made by the Eastern Regional Director, Fred Denzi, is an expression of his personal view and has nothing to do with the office. The office considers his conduct as against the ethical and professional standards of the office. It has therefore suspended him, and the matter referred to the appropriate unit for investigation. And this is signed by the Executive Director of IOCO, KK Amwa, ACP retired.
Well, the minority in Parliament is up in arms against this statement and a decision by IOCO to suspend him for the comments you just heard him express there. In fact, the Deputy Minority Leader James Klucha-Veji, who is also the chair of the Public Accounts Committee, has been speaking about this. He says the Eastern Regional Director must be reinstated immediately.
But if somebody come up with this suggestion, and because of that, the person is suspended, it creates a situation where people have a lot to say, but they will not say, for the fear that once you open your mouth, you utter a word, you'll be sacked. I can tell you that even this free SHS, there are a lot going on in our secondary schools where the heads of these institutions are not happy. They would have wished to call the attention of government to come and solve certain problems, but they keep quiet. They keep quiet because they know that once they open their mouth and say it, they will lose their job. So I think that we are gradually going to a situation where we have a culture of silence in our society, and that is not good for us.
The statement that was released suspending him mentioned that his comments were unethical and unprofessional. Some may say, when you work in an institution, there are rules. If you have such concerns, you raise it through the appropriate channels and not go to the press, and that's why maybe the whip has been cracked.
What is the role of IOCO? IOCO is an institution that is there also in the process or in the line to fight corruption. So if a regional director of a IOCO, in advising that government must take action when allegations are leveled against people, and say that that is something that is not proper, then it means that even these people that we have put there in order to fight corruption will also keep quiet. And if they channel everything to their director or the boss in Accra and the boss keep quiet over it, then it means that that is the end. We will not win the war against corruption. So, well, that is what he said. But I do not think that suspending him should be the solution.
What do you think should happen now? He's a suspension.
He should be reinstated. He should be reinstated. What he said is nothing bad against the government.
Well, that's the Deputy Minority Leader. He's also the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. The CPP has his own statement on this, but we will bring you the CPP statement very shortly. The man himself in question, Fred Jenny, who is the Eastern Regional Director of IOCO, has issued a statement clarifying what he said there. He says in the statement that he issued, this is a rejoinder. It says the facts are as follows, and this is the statement that came in from IOCO. Reference a story on Ghana Web. He says that story is not an accurate reflection of what he said. I just want to quote parts of a statement he issued tonight. He said the facts are as follows. The Eastern Regional Head of IOCO, Fred Jenny, was invited to a symposium organized by the Koforidua Technical University on the 1st of November to give a lecture on the topic, the youth in the fight against corruption in Ghana. The officer had the approval of the office to attend the symposium. The regional head was part of a panel discussion on the said topic. Now, during the discussion, a question was posed about how can corruption be stopped in Ghana. In response, the regional head stated corruption cannot be stopped but can be minimized. A further question was posed about how the problem can be tackled. In response, the regional head expressed his opinion that I think all governments must try to investigate their own officers when allegations of corruption are leveled against them. Now, the regional head further stated that this approach will address the issue of witch hunting. The regional head expressed his personal opinion on corruption in the public service. The publication, as it appeared on Ghana Web, is not the official position of the office on the issue. And the clip we played of his voice at the top of the of this particular issue. It's just a 30-second clip, which really doesn't give us the questions, the context in which he was answering this, but he provides a context here. He was talking about government, and in fact, you get a sense of that in what he said.
Before we can fight corruption effectively in Ghana, the ruling government should be ready first and foremost to prosecute their own. When the slightest incidence of corruption is raised against the ruling government, then they can also have the guts to prosecute the opposition. There should be the political will by the ruling government to fight it. They should be ready to resource the corruption fighting agencies.
Well, the Convention People's Party has a statement on this. Elton, they are asking, beyond reinstating him, they're asking for the boss of Yoko to be fired.
Absolutely, and in summary, they are saying that they find it quite absurd and illogical that an organization whose mandate is to fight corruption in our public life would be offended by frank commentary on the subject by one of its senior officers. Worse is a description of the bold and courageous conduct of the director as unethical and unprofessional. We would like to know what constitutes ethics and professional standards in the books of Yoko. We are even more appalled by the cowardly and reactionary behavior of the executive director. They are calling on President Akufo-Addo to fire ACP Amwa, and if he fails to do so, he should resign by himself. Fighting corruption under our present constitutional dispensation is not for the timid souls. We need officers who can frankly and boldly exhibit the bravery of the regional director. And this statement is signed by James Kwabena Bonfe Jr., Acting General Secretary. The question on the minds of them is whether his reference to the ruling government was to this particular government or governments in general.
Let's speak to the Communications Director of the CPP, Kadri Abdurraouf, joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Abdurraouf, fundamentally, you take issue with the description of unethical and unprofessional. However, it works for an institution, Yoko, and Yoko will have guidelines for the way its officers conduct themselves, which may include, if you have such comments, there are channels that you need to, formal channels you need to use to, in essence, those views. That you cannot go on a public platform, whether you're speaking to journalists, and make such pronouncements when you represent an institution. Everything you say will be a representation of what the institution stands for. And that's why, if he's erred based on those guidelines, then sanctions are to apply. Abdurraouf?
Yes. Yeah, hello.
Did you hear my question?
Yes.
What's your answer to that?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say a very good evening to the cherished listeners, and to state emphatically that the Convention People's Party is deeply worried and appalled by the conduct of the Executive Secretary of the Yoko. Because given what the suspended official just said, that he was invited to speak on corruption, and then he got the consent of the office to go and do. So, in our analysis or in our view, we do not think that those comments that he made could warrant such, disciplinary action at that speed. We think that, after all, everybody knows that it is within the ambit of Yoko to fight corruption wherever corruption is. Now, if an official of Yoko calls on government, and in this case, he didn't even limit it to NDC government, MPP government. It could be NDC, it could be CPP government, and it could be PIC government. That for us to battle down corruption, then we have to ensure that within our own circles, we fight corruption. What is so, treacherous, and what's so dangerous, what's so unethical about that statement that he has made? So we think that the punishment that was meted out to him was not actually the best and the type of punishment that he should have received. In any case, what he said does not merit any punishment, because he is just echoing the spirit of Yoko. That is the spirit of Yoko. That's what they are supposed to be doing. So for him to be punished in this manner, we think that it is cowardly. And we could see that the Executive Secretary was struggling just to, please his appointment.
You're asking for his dismissal. You won't get that. What are you going to do about that?
No, definitely, there is a saying that is associated with Kwame Nkrumah, that no amount of force can overcome the sovereign will and the determination of the people. When the masses of the people of Ghana, you see that now political parties are, And we are expecting by tomorrow, going to next week, even civil society and religious organizations must. And I believe that the executive secretary cannot stand against the overwhelming will and the sovereign determination of the Ghanaian people. And we are very sure that this campaign that we have just started, we are going to follow it to its logical conclusion. We are going to make sure that we use every external legitimacy to ensure that he is fired. Because the behavior that he has just exhibited shows clearly that he doesn't even know the office that he finds himself in. Because your official speech, that echoes the spirit of your organization and you punish them for that. You are grossly incompetent. You don't even know what you are about. And on the basis of incompetence, we are calling on the president to fire him.
I'm grateful that you joined us. That's Kadri Abdul Rauf. He is the communications director of the CPP. I want to join us on NewsNite for more on this. Also coming up on NewsNite, we'll tell you what the latest Afrobarometer survey has revealed. Some shocking revelations about the public's attitude towards the media and press freedom. Stay with us.